Now I come to the point of the complex if statement. So this is the syntax of the complex if statement. Complex if statement is basically needed whenever we are going to check more than two conditions. If the two conditions, if we are going to or wish to check only two conditions, then we always use the compound if statement. But if we are going to check more than two conditions, then we need the complex if statement. In case of complex if statement, you can see first I write the if block and then give the condition 1, then statement 1, then I write else if. I am just adding in another condition and in the else block of the first if, and here I write the condition 2, and then after write the statement 2 and then the else block column for this if statement. So this is the structure of the or syntax of the complex if statement. Suppose if the condition 1 is become true, then statement 1 is going to execute, and if the condition 1 is true, so statement 1 execute. So rest of the portion is not going to only execute, rather it is not going to also being checked. Okay, so control is completely goes to this portion, and after completing all the lines which is written in this statement 1 are execute, and then the control goes out the next block of the program. Now if the condition 1 is become false, then the control comes to this else block, and there is another condition, that is condition 2. So condition 2 is then checked. So condition is going to check when the condition 1 become false. So now if the condition 2 is true, then statement 2 will going to execute, and if the condition 2 is true, so statement 2 is execute, and then the rest of the other portion, that is maybe else, or maybe if there are another kind of else if block, so rest of the other portion of this complex if statement is not going to check and not going to execute. So after doing this, if the condition 2 is not become true, then statement 2 is execute, and if the condition 2 is not true, it means it become false, then the control goes to the else block and statement 3 is going to execute. So when the statement 3 is execute, when the condition 1 become false and condition 2 becomes false, that means all the conditions written in the complex if become false, then the else block of the complex if statement is going to execute. So in case of complex if, the else block only execute when all conditions written in the complex if statement is become false. How can we determine how many if condition we are going to use or we are going to write? It is completely depend upon the question which you are going to solve. If there are in the question there are 5 conditions you are going to check, then you have to write 4 if conditions. Okay, suppose the in the question paper or in the question there are 5 conditions is given, and you are going to check the 5 conditions. So you are going to write if condition 1, if condition 2, then again else if condition 3, then again else if condition 4, then just I am writing the else portion, because as in the question there is a 5 condition you are going to check, so I have write the 4 condition only 4 conditions. So 4 conditions written, and the last one, the remaining 1 condition is automatically goes to the else block. So in this way we can manipulate how many if conditions is written in complex if statement. Now I am going to check the greatest or maximum number between the 3 numbers using the complex if statement. You can see in this program I have already taken 3 numbers from the user, which are actually basically stored in respectively n1, n2 and n3 variables, and now I am going to check which number is actually maximum number. So if I'm just assuming that n1 is the maximum number, to become the n1 a maximum number, it must to be greater than the n2 and must to be greater than the n3. So I'm just writing the condition here, n1 must be greater than the n2 and in the n1 also greater than the value of n3. So these both condition, that is n1 and n3 greater than n3, both must to be satisfied in this case, and for this reason in between these two conditions I am just writing the logical AND operator, as the both condition is must to be maintained or must to be executed, and after the execution n1 becomes the maximum number. So the maximum number, then I'm writing the else if block, and you can see so if the first condition becomes false, it means that n1 not greater than n2, or maybe n1 greater than not greater than n3. It means that n1 is not the maximum number, so there is a chance to become the maximum number in between the n2 and n3. Now I'm going to check whether the n2 is the maximum number or not. Now to become the n2 is the maximum number, the n2 must be greater than the n1, and as well as the n2 must be greater than the n3. Both the conditions satisfied, then the n2 becomes the maximum number, and then after I'm writing system and the last one is else block. What is means by the else block? Else block mean if any kind of both the if block is not satisfied, then it is going to execute this else block. So in the else block actually going to execute when n1 is not greater than n2, as well as n1 is not greater than n3, and n2 also not greater than n1 and not greater than n3. It means that n3 is the maximum or greatest number. So the maximum. Now I'm going to compile this, and you can see no syntax error found here, and then after I'm going to run this program, and first I'm just enter 15, and then after 20, and then after suppose 25. So in between them you can see the last number 25 is the maximum number. So what is the output actually generated? Yes, the maximum number is 25. How it is actually work? Let's see. The n1, the 15 value is stored in the variable n1, and the value 20 is stored in the variable n2, and the value 25 is stored in the variable n3. Now 15 is greater than 20, no, so first condition become false. Now in case of the logical AND operator, how it is work? When the logical AND operator basically used within the if condition portions, within the between two conditions or more than two conditions, if the first condition becomes true, then only the next condition it is going to check. But if the first condition becomes false, that means n1 is not greater than n2, then never it is going to check whether the n1 is greater than n3 or not. Okay, if the n1 greater than n2 becomes true, then it's going to check whether it is n1 greater than n3. Now in this case the value n1 is 15 and n2 is 20. So for this reason the first condition becomes false, and for this reason this condition is not checked in this portion, and the control goes to the else if block here, and it is checked again. In n2 it stored the value of 20, and so 20 is greater than n1 15. Yes, true. So as the first condition becomes true, then it is going to check the n2 greater than n3. Now it is found as n2 is 20 and n3 is 25. So this condition becomes false. So in this portion the first block is true, but second block becomes false. But as there is a logical AND operator, so both the condition must be satisfied, and for that reason, for this reason, the control goes to the else block, and this statement is executed. And you can see the value n3, that is 25, is printed on the output, So now I'm going to run the program again by just interchanging the values. Suppose the first value is 15 here, you can see the last enter value is, suppose I'm just enter the value of 25. The first value becomes a 25 and the second value becomes a 20 and the last value becomes 15. So the maximum value is 25 and 25 is stored in the variable of n. So now in this case the 25 is stored in the variable n here, n1 here, and 20 is stored in n2 and 15 is stored in n1 n3. Now in this case the n1, that is the contain the value is 25. So 25 greater than becomes 20, the first condition becomes true, and for this reason the second condition is going to check in this case, and 25 is greater than also n3 hold the value 15. So 25 greater than 15, so both the condition is true. So for this reason this statement is executed in this portion. Now if I'm just interchanging these two values, and then after I'm writing run the program again. Suppose I'm just writing the first value is 15, next value is 25 and the last value is 20. So 25 stored in the variable n2, okay, and you can see the value is 25 is maximum. And how this work, let's see. As the value 15 is stored in the variable n1 and the value of n2 is 25, so 15 is not greater than 25, so first condition becomes false, so it is not going to check the second condition, and control goes to the next else if block, that it means in this portion, and it checks n2 greater than n1, yes, 25 greater than 15, it is true, and n2 greater than n3, yes, 25 is greater than 20, and as this both the condition becomes true, and this statement is executed here. So in this way actually complex if work.